This week on Motor Week, Steve Fowler takes a detailed look at the recent SMMT test day from Millbrook. He gets the unique chance to drive a wide variety of cars from the Beetle to the Bentley and report on all the latest models from various car manufacturers. Also this week I'll be in Europe to try and save cash on a new car, and Tate examines the pros and cons of importing a car all the way from Japan.
Welcome to Millbrook, the home of the 1999 SMMT Day. Now, normally Millbrook isn't open to the likes of you and me. It's where the manufacturers come to do all their secret testing. In fact, this place has more secrets than Bill Clinton's dictaphone. But today, the Society of Motor Manufacturers have opened it up so that we can go in and play with some of their cars. Am I excited? Am I looking forward to it? Do I want to get in there? Just a bit. First choice, who can resist the new fast Ford Mondeo ST200? Can't wait to get behind the wheel. But who needs a faster Ford? Surely the Mondeo ST24 is fast enough. Not so. With this one you get some fancy graphics, carbon fibre gear knob, and apparently it goes very fast, but more about that in a second. So why ST200? Well, under the bonnet of this thing is a tweaked 2.5 litre 24 valve V6 offering 200 brake horsepower. That should be ample for what we want to do today, but let's just give it a go anyway, shall we? Sounds good. Feels pretty good, but why have Ford bothered when the ST24 was perfectly good enough for most people? Well, at the end of last year, the unthinkable happened. In a What Car group test, the Mondeo got beaten by a Vectra. Not just any old Vectra, mind, it was the GSI, the hottest Vectra of the lot. So the people at Dagenham couldn't have that. They went back to the drawing board, and out came the ST200. If your heart desires, you can order one of these right now. You've got to get £23,000 in your bank account first, but for my money, it's well worth considering. Initial impressions are very, very good. What you get for your £23,000 are some wonderful sports seats, some lovely mock carbon fibre dashboard material, the slickest gear change you'll ever come across, natty 7-inch wheels, Ford racing blue metallic paint, all designed to give you that particular touring car feel. As well as tweaking under the bonnet, Ford's boffins have been tickling the suspension as well, so while the ride is still pretty compliant, the handling is much improved. Grip is superb, 17-inch wheels help, and there's traction control should you put the power down just a little too hard. 23 grand's a lot of money for a Mondeo, but wow, what a Mondeo. What I really want to know though is why are all these manufacturers letting us come here and have so much fun? I mean, seriously evaluating vehicles obviously, but here's the man who can tell us.
Well, quite simply, it's the hands-on motor show for the media, for motoring journalists, and there's around 200 journalists who are here today driving products that perhaps they wouldn't normally get the opportunity to, and you can see the full range of vehicles that are on sale or just about to go on sale for the media to write about first.
And we've got some cracking cars to choose from out there. It's going to be very difficult for me to choose which ones to go for, but as we're heading for the new millennium, what are customers going to be looking for and getting out of their cars?
Well, I think what you will see in some of the really new products that are out there today, you see the Jaguar S-Type, for example, the Rover 75. There, for example, is some great new technology. It's lighter weight in the body, it's stronger, safer, and more environmentally friendly, and those are really the key drivers as we head to the new millennium. You can see it on the products that are just around the corner.
Let's see if Al's right. This is the unmistakable look of the Rover 75, one of the cars for the next millennium. The interior is a real case of old meets new. Wonderful styling cues harking back to Rovers of old. And you've got things that are bang up to date. You can even get this car with satellite navigation and a telly inside if you so desire. This car is competing in a highly competitive market. It's up against such luminaries as the BMW 3 Series, the Alfa Romeo 156 and the Audi A4. But what we absolutely adore about this Rover 75 is it offers you something different. All those cars are very sporty, and this is more refined, more laid back, more genteel. It's nice to have a choice these days, and the Rover 75 certainly gives you that. This is no old fogey's car. This Rover actually handles, and it's built by BMW, and it's British. What more could you ask? New Peugeot 406, you've got to look hard to spot it, but slightly revised at the back. There's definitely a new front, looks more purposeful, and under the bonnet you've got a choice of New direct injection diesels, high technology, cleaner than before. While inside, hey, you got a new dash too. Again, not too different, but works a lot better. Quality seems to have been improved. That's about all the changes, but really there didn't need to be that many. It's not a bad car, the 406, not a front runner, but still worthy of putting on your shopping list. As is the Seat Toledo, the latest offering from the VW Group, and yet another vehicle that's based on the Volkswagen Golf. But what's it like inside? Now if you're an Audi A3 driver, this will look all vaguely familiar to you. It's basically the same dashboard, but given a Seat tweak, so there's red lights and the materials aren't quite of such a high quality, but hey, for the money. Plus the fact Seat are giving you a sportier feel. Enjoy yourself is their motto. And I'm sure you can do just that in this car, but what can I do in that over there? This has to be one of the stars of today's show, the new VW Beetle. It's here at last, but it's only in left-hand drive. Now, with me is Volkswagen's very own love bug, Wayne Bruce. Wayne, why is it only available in left-hand drive at the moment?
Right-hand drive is coming end of this year, but demand is such in the other European markets that left-hand drive has been coming first. But we've taken 3,000 deposits from UK punters for the Beetle, and because demand is such that everyone wants it now, we've decided to import 900 left-hand drive cars this year, just to keep those people happy for now.
Okay, so if I want one of these now, how much am I going to have to pay?
A bargain, £15,755 on the road with a 3-year warranty.
And how much is it likely to be when it's in right-hand drive?
It's going to be priced the same as an equivalently engined and specified Golf, so roughly £16,400. As it comes out the bag with a full level of equipment, you get 4 airbags, ABS, aircon, alloys, and a flower vase, of course.
You've sold it to me, can I have a go?
Oh, go on.
Well, give me the keys.
Be good.
You take that.
Cheers.
Thank you.
All right, have fun.
Anyone who thought the Germans were staid and boring should take a look at the Beetle's interior. I mean, the detailing's absolutely superb. Right down to the bud vase with today's freshest flowers. The seats are nicely trimmed as well in a fabric with numbers on them. I've counted up to 8 so far, which is almost as many variants Volkswagen has made of the Golf, and of course the Beetle, sad to report, is one of them. Based on a Golf chassis, Golf engines, but the last thing it looks like is your common or garden Golf. However, the Golf is a family car. You can fit the family in the back. The Beetle is not a family car. You can just about squeeze a couple of adults in the back, and if you want to take 4 people's luggage with you, sorry, not in this boot. Bit of a conundrum really, this Beetle. You see, us journalists always try and categorise things, but you just can't do it with the Beetle. You see, it's not a family car, it's not a sports car, and it's flawed in many, many ways. Volkswagen underpinnings, Volkswagen engine, the engine's at the front now, tiny boot, but everybody will want one. I can't explain why, but I want one. It's a purely irrational decision. I'd probably wait for the right-hand drive cars though, rather than take a left-hand drive. So if you've got left-hand drive, it's a bit difficult going through the drive-through McDonald's. You have to go in reverse. Think about that one. Well, from one Volkswagen to another one, believe it or not. Yep, this is a Bentley and Rolls-Royce. Rolls-Royce motor cars, of course, these days are owned by Volkswagen. But the story is a little bit more confused than that. You see, the name Rolls-Royce is actually owned by BMW, and BMW are licensing the name to Volkswagen to build Rolls-Royces until 2001-2002, which means at that time BMW are going to build Rolls-Royces somewhere else, and Rolls-Royce, which of course is owned by Volkswagen, is going to be building Bentleys at the traditional Rolls-Royce factory in Crewe. Confused? I certainly am. Let's just drive it and see what we think. This is the Bentley Continental SC, and you'll notice I'm speaking in rather hushed tones, because that's what you should do when you're driving a Bentley. It's a very important motor car, makes you feel like a very important person. Couldn't be further from the truth, really. 245,000 of your English pounds for this one. Worth every penny? Well, what can you buy for £245,000? If I had a calculator with me, I could probably work out how many £5,000 Perugia nippers I could get for that money, but I think I'll be clogging up the driveway just a little bit too much. But this really is something very different, something very special. It's British through and through. This is one of the old school Bentleys, so you've got a 6.7 litre engine under the bonnet rather than one of your BMW motors. That's something I'm not able to do every day, drive a Bentley, and it's the worth of a day like this, the SMMT test day. We get to compare and contrast various models and to see just how far cars have come in recent years. Because believe me, they have come a very long way in terms of safety, security, comfort, driver appeal. And it's very difficult for manufacturers like Bentley and Rolls-Royce. There's no surprise that they're going to be taken over by somebody larger, and it's happening all over the world and will continue to happen. Cars become more expensive to develop, so the little fish get swallowed by the big sharks. But at the end of the day, it means that we're going to be able to buy better cars, better equipped cars, hopefully cheaper cars as well. As for this, 245 grand. Let me think, it's a house, a car, my little girl through school.
Coming up after the break, a trip to Belgium, where I'll be taking a look at BMW and Mercedes, to name but a few, to discover just how much money you can save by buying your favourite model from Europe. And on the same theme, cars from Japan. Tate weighs the pros and cons involved in getting your motor from Japan. Tate, having seen the media coverage of savings to be made, decided to investigate importing a car from Japan.
At first I thought Dublin was a place to go, but then I decided to research the subject further.
This proved a wise move. Eve discovered that larger importers dealt directly with Japan. Eventually, she found a Japanese company with offices in London. Eve decided to pay them a visit. Believe it or not, behind this subtle exterior there lies a very reputable importer. What makes Japanocar different to other importers of Japanese cars?
Well, first of all, we're a Japanese-owned company. We can cut out a lot of the middle nonsense, which a lot of the, how can I say, there's some very high-quality importers out there, but there are a few which are a little bit dubious, and they tend to choose an agent that is very protective about them. In other words, that they're picked up from the airport, they're taken to a hotel, they can't speak the language, they can't even order food because they can't read the menu. We don't have that problem, so we can actually pick out the right agent by total process of elimination and actually make sure that we actually get quality, and also it's shipped over in a very secure manner.
So the auctions are required by law to provide detailed information about the cars?
Yes, indeed they do. I mean, this is the Japanese auction sheet, which I just happen to have here for ease of reference. It tells you the lot number, which you can pick up on a computer screen in front of your desk. You've got a little credit card slip that if you bid up to the amount you want to bid, then it's automatically deducted from your card. It's very high tech. I mean, you don't really have to go and see the cars, which is one of the benefits which I have, because we can just pop up the details on the car. And by law in Japan, it must tell you if there's a full report, you know, how many kilometres it's done, if it's had a wing replaced, if it's got an oil leak even. And this is something that a lot of people can't understand when they go out to buy there. And sometimes unscrupulous agents will not tell them.
Do you offer help or advice on servicing and insuring the cars that you supply?
Oh, indeed we do, yes. We have a full aftercare policy whereupon people can come back to us and have the car serviced, or they can have it elsewhere, and we can guide them where they can have the car serviced. And another crucial thing I think about aftercare is, getting back to this Japanese connection, is that we can advise our customers on any recall that is being called out in Japan.
Right, well, I've had the car for about a month now, and I have to say I'm really pleased with it. It's everything I thought it would be, and I still save money. But there are one or two areas that are appearing to be a little niggling. The first problem that you're likely to encounter will be insurance. I personally found it was rather complicated. 3 companies said no. When I finally got to a company who would insure it, there was a premium to be paid, about £100. Having got over that hurdle, you then need to consider servicing and parts. There are a lot of dealers that won't touch imports with a barge pole, and there's a whole variety of reasons why. If they won't, there are plenty of good independents out there, and also consider the importer you bought it from, or other large reputable importers who have now had the foresight to actually start their own servicing departments and parts. Premiums to pay on them? Not really. Not if you search around. There's a bit more legwork to be done, but still you can have lots of good driving, fast, fun, and you don't pay too much of a premium, and you've still saved money.
Whilst there are savings to be made by importing a car, other legal aspects such as changing the lights to UK specification must be considered. Fitting fog lamps, recalibrating the speedometer and odometer from kilometres an hour to miles an hour must also be looked at. Another annoying and easily overlooked modification is the radio, which will be set up for Japanese frequencies. Tyres may also have a lower rating than will be required in the UK because of the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit in the land of the rising sun. Always have your import inspected by a qualified engineer to make sure that all of these modifications have been made. Finally, have an alarm fitted to your import. Car theft isn't an issue in Japan, but you will certainly need a security system fitted for UK insurance. Any manufacturer of any product will tell you that they'll sell that product at whatever price the market will stand, whatever people will pay, and that's fair enough. That applies to cars as much as anything else. But what if we don't want to pay that price? It's now a fully integrated European market, so we can go wherever we want to buy whatever we want. And if I want to go to Belgium to save thousands of pounds on my new car, there's nothing to stop me. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. That's why I'm here, almost at the feet of the White Cliffs of Dover, at a horrendously early time of the morning. My hotel from last night is over the road, and my ferry awaits over there, because we're off to Belgium, and we're going to save money on our car, we hope. Of course, we're given all sorts of reasons for the enormous disparity in car prices across Europe and in the UK. For instance, manufacturers will tell us that in the UK we have our own specific specifications. Yeah, so an extra couple of square feet of velour and an electric window is worth thousands of pounds. Also, they'll say it's complicated because of the badge difference, for instance, Vauxhall and Opel. Yeah, is it really that complicated to mean it's going to cost thousands of pounds more per car? Or is this just an excuse that fudges the issue and makes it too complicated for us to understand why we, the buyer, are being ripped off? Ah, la belle France! We've arrived. Another factor that does add to the artificial inflation of the prices we pay in the UK for our cars is our love of the company car. Manufacturers offer enormous discounts to fleet buyers for company cars in return for them purchasing huge numbers of cars. That's good for the manufacturers. It ups their share of the volume of the entire market. It establishes them in the marketplace. But it's bad for us as private buyers because we indirectly subsidise the enormous discounts that they're offered. That pushes up the price that we have to pay in the UK. I don't like it. Or they'll tell us that it's down to fluctuations in the exchange rates. Well, sure, it's going to have an effect, but can it really account for that much money per car? And isn't the arrival of the euro going to mean it's not a valid excuse anymore, is it? Okay, some quick sums. It's cost us 27 quid on the ferry so far, but then we've saved that on our duty-free anyway. Bruges is only an hour from Calais, so not much petrol, and we had a nice lunch on the way. All I need to do now is find some car dealers. But we've had word that Rover dealers in Europe are quite happy to sell UK buyers a right-hand drive version of any Rover, thus offering considerable savings. There's only one way to find out if that's true. I'll ask them. Philippe, if I come here from England and say to you as a Rover dealership, can I buy a right-hand drive car? Can I?
Yes, no problem.
You can supply that for me, no problem. I'm not the first to do this. How many people have you had doing this?
Once or twice in a week, they ask me for prices. We delivered 5 to England yet, I think.
What cars?
Mostly Freelander, Range Rover or MG-F.
So there it is, one right-hand drive UK spec Freelander sitting here in Belgium waiting for its UK owner to come over and get it. Couldn't be easier. Big savings to be made thanks to Rover here in Bruges. I reckon Belgian car dealers must be doing quite nicely out of this. There's plenty of UK trade and good for them. So we try one of the German manufacturers now. Obviously, I'm in Mercedes dealership here in Bruges. This is Paul, who's the sales manager. Paul, thanks for talking to me.
Thank you.
If I come to you and say, I can't afford to, but if I did come to you and say, will you sell me a UK spec right-hand drive Mercedes, will you?
Of course, no problem.
What kind of savings are we talking about?
It all depends a little bit on the model that you're looking for. It would be on an A-Class, which is our basic model, would be around £2,500 to £3,000. It can go up to £10,000 on the more expensive models.
You're obviously aware that we pay more in the UK for cars because people come here and save that kind of money.
Yes.
Do you have any theories, what theories on why it's so much more expensive in the UK than here?
Not really. Basically, it's the same car. So apparently, it all has to do because of the specificity of the English market. It seems to be that you have a market with a lot of big fleets buying cars at lower, better prices, and then that people who buy them as an individual maybe pay the difference for the fleet services.
Well, it couldn't be much easier than it has been so far. Let's try BMW. There's one over here somewhere. I don't believe it. I've just seen an M Coupe in there for the same money as a Fiat Coupe. Nearly every car in there was already right-hand drive anyway for export to the UK for UK private buyers. So some people have obviously sussed this already. Well, they couldn't have been more helpful, but I'm on an even tighter budget than that, so I need to spend less, and we've got a Citroen one over here, so let's see what they can do for us. This is every bit as easy as buying a car in the UK. They seem to speak better English anyway. This is a Citroen dealer I'm outside now, and they'll sell you this car that we drove down in today, a Citroen Saxo VTS 1.6 16 valve. It's a little flyer. They'll sell you it in absolute UK spec, down to the last wheel nut, right-hand drive, for a shade under £10,000. And wait for this, they'll discount it by another 8%. Pay your VAT and you've got a VTS for about £10,000. It's unbelievable. That's second-hand money. Where's my checkbook? I had heard that there might be problems in coming over here to buy a car and take it back to the UK. But in every single dealership that we visited today, it couldn't have been easier. They couldn't have been more friendly. And I would say, don't even think about the money you spend to get here to Bruges. I've had an absolutely great day. The place is beautiful. The buildings are stunning. There's bridges everywhere. And even some of the Belgians are nice to look at too. And those savings to be made are enormous. There's nothing to stop you coming over here to Belgium or anywhere else in Europe to buy a brand new car for second-hand car money. We reckon that with pressure from the press and the public, it'll be 2 years max before UK prices are brought down and forced into line with the rest of Europe. Mind you, a salutary note, if that does happen, don't forget, that will bring down the resale value of your car when you come to sell it on second-hand. Next week on Motor Week, I'll be in France for a drive of the new BMW 3 Series Coupe. Ian Royal goes 00 with the BMW 750, and we take a look at petrol prices in the UK to try and discover why for every £10 you put in your car, £8.50 goes to the government in tax. That's next week on Motor Week.